Hey there, Reverend Sully, Eric O'Sullivan, ordained on the internet. The caveat, as always, please do not burn your hands holding on to my hot takes. If you do, well, that's on you, pal. Today, it's a love letter to Battlestar Galactica, the original series, and its kind of maligned but misunderstood sequel, Galactica 1980. I was a child when this came out. It was post-Star Wars, and me and my best friend, Brian Massey, were nuts for this. So much so that I was Apollo and he was Starbuck, because I had the dark hair, he had the blonde hair, and we would tear ass around on our bikes, pretending they were colonial vipers, hunting down Cylons. And I was blessed that he would have us over, his family would have us over on nights it would air, and we would watch them on their big color TV. And because we didn't get a big color TV until probably about the early 80s, so this is about 1978 or so, I remember seeing the movie with him and my mom at the old Broadway movie theater. It was on West Broadway, on Broadway itself. And it was a second run movie theater. It was, I can still feel my feet pulling up from the floor because it was so sticky with soda pop. Yeah, and it was a really rundown kind of place. But I saw a lot of movies there as a kid, and the Battlestar Galactica feature film was one of them. I also had the Marvel Comics adaptation, the oversized one. I remember getting that at Woolworths in downtown Boston. And both the theatrical movie and the Marvel Comics adaptation have an edited scene, which was taken out for the TV pilot, which was the movie basically broken down into 3 episodes. The Cylons execute Baltar in the original. And I remembered that. And I was right, because when I got my Galactica box set, there it is, lo and behold, the execution of Baltar. And so that was removed in the TV pilot to make room for John Colicos's recurring role as the Nemesis Baltar. And it was just, what an amazing show. One season, it was in endless reruns. It was in reruns constantly growing up. It was always on. I saw every episode of this over and over again. I had the toys. I had the Viper that had the cylinder extension in the middle and the booster. I also had I had this gun, this laser gun. It was not a replica of anything in the show. It just had the Battlestar Galactica label on it, and it had different sounds with the knob. And I also had this really amazing Battlestar Galactica launch bay. It was a long plastic piece that was meant to look like the hangar of the side of the Galactica has 2 hangars, and the famous launch tubes. So it resembled that, but what it really was a trigger with elastic bands and 2 foam Vipers. And this was the best toy, from one of my childhood, one of the best toys I had. And then it got canceled because of its production, the production costs. It was just too expensive to make. So there was a sequel series called Galactica 1980. And I remember this coming out because I only saw it once as a kid. I was 7 years old when this came out in December of 1980. Actually, no, it was January of 1980. It only ran from January to about March. There were only about, I guess, 10 episodes. And it had the next generation of the Galactica heroes. It was Boxy, Apollo's stepson, grown up. Now his name is Troy, and all the older heroes have gone away except for Boomer, who is now the second in command, and Commander Adama has got a beard, and they've reached Earth. And I've watched it recently with my box set, and I gotta say, it is very Galactica, and it's a very worthy sequel. It's worth your time. If you're a Galactica fan and a huge fan of the original, then please check out Galactica 1980. It is probably, production-wise, one of the last great 70s TV shows. I mean, its production costs were its budget was slashed. So it was Earth-based. And so they threw everything in, the sets and everything in the costumes from what they had in storage from every other show, going back in time to World War II. So let's throw in the Nazis and their uniforms. They had one life-size mock-up of a Viper, and it looked pretty terrible. But still, and every episode had this disclaimer in the credits that it was made with the direction of UCLA, the University of California at Los Angeles, and their science department. It would try to be ecologically and socially current and progressive. We have a 4-letter word for this today, beginning with a W, that I'm trying to, get out of my lexicon, including other 4-letter words that begin with an F and a C. Yet, I mean, is this show woke by today's standards? No, but it was definitely had an ecological message, and it definitely had a social message, and because today you would probably say, "Oh, that show is the W word," but no, that's it's looking at it antediluvian and being and judging in the past. It was very well intended in spirit, and so Galactica 1980. Check it out, even for its finale, The Return of Starbuck, which was the best episode that I remembered out of all of them. They had Dirk Benedict return as Starbuck, and he was stranded on a planet. And it was Robinson Crusoe in space, and he was stranded with a Cylon that he reprogrammed into being his friend and his companion. And it was the origin story of Dr. Z as well. Dr. Z being the mysterious child genius who is helping Galactica. And but the time they get to Earth, Earth isn't ready for Galactica. It's so behind the times. And it was basically 1979 Earth. But Battlestar Galactica, wonderful show, huge part of my childhood. And let me just show you real quick my Eagle Moss. I'm so blessed to have been turned on to Eagle Moss by Robert Meyer Burnett. This is the original Cylon Raider. I didn't have this toy as a kid. One of my friends did. And I was so jealous of that because it came with a tiny Cylon that came into the in the cockpit. But yeah, the level of detail on these Eagle Moss are just incredible. I love this. It gives me sheer joy just looking at this. And also, the Viper. Yes, this was designed by Ralph McQuarrie of Star Wars fame, and it was brought to science fiction life by John Dykstra, the special effects maestro who won an Oscar for Star Wars. And this is one of my favorite all-time spaceships. And I am so happy and proud to have this in my collection. And I thank you, Robert Meyer Burnett, for turning me on to Eagle Moss. I now have a collection of Eagle Moss, and when I see something I like, I just get it, because the answer is always yes. I'm very proud to be part of the Post Geek Singularity and to be part of their observatory. and it's one of my favorite shows. If you can, give Robert a subscribe to his channel. He's got the best nerd stuff out there, the best geek stuff out there. He's the most fair-minded and positive person. Check him out. He's worth your time. And that's all I got for today. It's my love letter to the original Battlestar Galactica and to Galactica 1980, which when I watched it this past year, I was completely taken by surprise of how good it was and how much I really appreciated it. It was so nostalgic. It reminded me of Chips and of Emergency and of all the shows of the 70s that I grew up on. And it's just so nostalgic, and it's really worth your time as a Galactica fan. It's don't be scared off by it because of its reputation. It doesn't deserve it. In hindsight, no, it does not. But hey, do you like this kind of content? Give me a thumbs up and support. I love making positive things of pop culture. If you didn't like this, you think that Galactica 80s bunk or anything, give me a thumbs down. I'm a big lad. I can handle this. Give me a comment in the comments section. What's your Battlestar Galactica story? Did you watch this growing up? Did you see it in endless reruns? Have you watched Galactica 1980 recently? Tell me in the comments section. And give me a subscribe if you could be so kind. I could use it, and you could sure use the positive content out there. I also make spirituality, theology videos, and also cooking videos as well. I'm a professional chef, and I want to raise your game and give you delicious, nutritious, and beautiful foods to have at home, to share with yourself, your family, and all of your loved ones. Come on board to Reverend Sully's channel here. Thank you so very much, and, somewhere out there beyond the heavens. I know. That's just what a wonderful show this was. Thank you so much for tuning in. Cheers.